Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the second part of Investival. Our next break after this block is going to be a longer one, so sorry that was a little bit of a rush. I know there's lots of cool stuff happening. For the next block of talks, you're going to be hearing from our data team. You're going to be hearing a little bit about business banking, and you're going to be hearing about our international expansion. So please give it up for our data team.
Hello, everyone. My name is Neil. I'm the machine learning lead at Monzo, and I'm here today to introduce our data team to you. So today we have Annabel and Katie, who will be shortly joining me on stage to dive into some of the work we've been doing recently. And so I get the pleasure of doing the fun introduction bit and the fun conclusion bit, and I left all the hard work to them. So setting up data science teams in tech companies is done everywhere now, and everyone does it a little bit differently, but it is a core part of building a company. So the key stat, which stands out to me, is that hiring data scientists, growing data science teams is actually really hard. So now Monzo has more than 1,000 employees, and the data team is about 2% of the company. We're very small. There's not very many of us, but there's a huge demand across all of Monzo to quantify things, to see how well our product is doing, to see how well our different business functions are doing, and generally understand the health of the company. So data science is now split across many different parts of Monzo. And to give you the quick summary, we have product analytics, which is all about understanding our customers and the app and the different features that we release, and we'll be hearing about some of that shortly. Then we have operations, which is focused on how our customer support team is doing, how well they're responding to you, how quickly, whether they're overloaded with messages, how well they're handling them. And there's also an element of product analytics there, because we have also built our own tool for agents to answer you. Then we have the classical areas of banking, financial crime, finance, and lending. So things like the overdrafts and the loans that we've been launching recently, all of these have aspects of data related to credit scoring, all of these things that you would sort of always associate with any bank. And then finally, the team that I'm in is the machine learning and data engineering team. So we build the infrastructure that supports all of the analytics, and we also ship some machine learning algorithms into the app. So a very simple example is if you go to the help screen in the app and you start searching for, I need to change my home address, and you get a little help article pop up. That's a thing my team built. So the mission of data at Monzo is, in light of the fact that there are so few of us, is that we need to focus on enabling better decisions faster. Clearly, there's about 25 of us total, with more than 1,000 people at Monzo, so we can't be in every room. We can't be in every room where decisions are being made about what to do next, about whether to launch a new feature, about how well a feature is doing. So the way we view it is we need our data to be there when we're not there. And we need people to be able to understand it and to reason about it and to make decisions that are informed by everything that our customers are doing without necessarily having us there, doing all the maths ourselves. So I'm very happy to say that this is going really well inside of Monzo. We have this dashboarding tool called Looker, which provides where we build dashboards for different teams across the company. And about 70% of those accounts that we give to Monzo employees are active every single week. And our head of data, Dimitri, told me that that number is higher than the number of Monzo customers who are active in the app every week, just for context. So here's what it looks like so far. Actually, it's a little bit old now. But effectively, we've collated all of the important numbers for Monzo. And every week, we'll send out a summary that goes to our investors. It goes to the executives in the company, and actually to the whole company. But critically, anyone can go into this tool and dive in and see how are we doing when it comes to lending, to financial crime, to customer support, to all of these elements that matter for us. So what that does is it opens up time for the people in the data team to work on harder problems. And these are the 2 case studies that you're going to be hearing about today. Things that it's not just about building a dashboard with some numbers that tell us about how our customer base is doing, but trickier questions to answer that we can still use some data to come to a reasonable conclusion. So first up is Katie, that I'll hand over to now. And she's going to be talking about how we price Monzo Plus.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. So as Neil said, my name is Katie. I'm a product data scientist here at Monzo. And I'm going to be talking a bit about, as he said, pricing Monzo Plus. So when people think about how pricing works, you can get this reaction. Alternatively, you can get more of this reaction. So I want to talk about how at Monzo, we actually use data to power pricing. Specifically, I work in the Revenue Incubator Collective. So as the name suggests, this is like a team of people who are trying to build products that not only solve customers' problems, but also generate revenue. This is the first time, as you probably all know, that we're actually charging customers for the stuff that we build. So we want to make sure that we're using data to really empower how we decide on the prices that we're kind of putting on these revenue-generating products. So I've tried to simplify this into 3 core principles that we kind of try to use when we're pricing new products. The first one is user expectation. So how much do these customers actually put value on this product, and what do they expect the value to be? The second one is profit margin. So how much of a profit margin are you putting on these products? Does it cover the costs of building these products and maintaining them? And how can you make sure that that's still kind of buffering your profit over time? And then the last one is risk appetite. So this is the kind of potential cost or the current revenue that we could be losing by offering products for paid services. So spoiler alert, there's data powering each of these. So I'm going to talk a bit through the kinds of data that are used in each of these principles. So the first one is user expectation. And really the question that we're trying to answer here is, how much do users actually value this product? Or what's the price tag that they would put on this if they were given the opportunity to do that? So this is a lot of qualitative research that's done by our user research and team and our product managers. And there's also a lot of market research that goes into this. This is kind of the first step in pricing anything, is understanding like what's out there and what your customers are expecting. So as you can see, we did like a lot of user interviews done by the product manager and also a user researcher, and we collected a bunch of user feedback about sort of what makes a premium account valuable to a customer and what really drives that value and how much would they be willing to pay for that value. The next principle is this idea of profit margin. So basically, at the beginning, you need to at least cover the costs of operating and building this product. Over time, you ideally want to optimize the relationship between overhead and operational costs, adoption, and overall profitability. Super easy, right? Definitely something that is more of an iterative process, and it's something at the beginning that you really just want to make sure that you're covering the operational costs at least. So one of the things that we use here to enable us to make these decisions is something that the operations data team built, which is a Looker dashboard. So Looker, as Neil mentioned, is our business intelligence tool that we use. And what this does is once you run a sample trial with your product, you can put it into this dashboard and see how much operations costs would be forecasted at if you were to launch it to 100% of the user base. So this is a way that we can understand how to manage our rollouts, really understand like the potential loss of profit that we'd be just draining into operational support for your product, and making sure that we're making decisions about, is it even, like, should we be doing something different so that it's not such an operations load? Making help pages, building tools that enable customer operations to answer questions really quickly. And the last principle is the one where the most data analytics goes into at the beginning. So this is risk appetite for potential cost. And basically what this is trying to answer is the question, if everyone tries to get the most bang for their buck with Monzo Plus, how much could each subscription potentially cost us? And are we comfortable with taking on this risk? So this is really defining opportunity costs for anyone who's heard that word before. Basically what this means is, if we're currently making revenue off of something that a user is doing or a feature that they're using, what would happen if we gave it to them for free? How much would that actually cost us? So the way that we actually use data in this situation is we look at a lot of user behavior. So we have a ton of data about all of our past user behavior, and we collect a lot of information. And we can use this to understand the potential costs that we're exposing ourselves to if we were to offer these features for free or in a paid subscription. So I'm going to go over a bit of an example with this one because it's kind of the easiest one to formulate in a slide deck. So in this example, if we offered 1% cash back on all spend to Monzo Plus users, how much could this cost us? This isn't in the product plan, forewarning. I'm not part of the product stream. I'm just talking about the business. So this is an example. So here we want to calculate the average usage per user. And the average usage here is the average amount that they would currently spend with their Monzo account per month. So the more the user's average spend, the larger their loaf of bread here, because with revenue, they are bringing in the most bread. So pun intended. These users are also the highest opportunity cost users because they're the people bringing in the most revenue. So if we gave it to them for free, we'd be losing the most money. Now what you want to do is you want to order these users from highest to lowest average usage, and then you take a rolling average. So in reality, what this ends up looking like is not something as pretty as this emoji graph, but something a bit more like this. So the idea here is that we can understand what would happen in the worst case scenario if we were to offer this product to users. And we also understand what would happen in the best case scenario, so where sort of the lowest usage users come in. And what we want to do is we want to understand the potential opportunity costs that we're bringing in by adding this feature to part of a premium subscription bundle. And then we can make decisions based off of the risk and if we're comfortable with kind of handing off this risk for these premium products. And so we do that for every feature where there's a potential opportunity cost, and then we combine them with all of the other features and add this together in a super neat way with all of our profit margins. Super easy, right? So it's like a lot of data is driving all of these decisions. So it's really important that the data team is empowering these teams to be able to make the right decisions for pricing these products and giving the users the best experience possible. So next time that you ask yourself, how does pricing work at Monzo? I really hope that you think about the fact that it basically works with a lot of help from data. And we're trying to use data to empower all the decisions, even in these revenue-generating products. I'm going to hand it off to Annabel, who's going to be talking a bit about marketing.
Thank you, Katie. So my name is Annabel. I'm a product data scientist in our growth collective. So currently supporting our marketing team as well as one of our growth squads. And today I'm going to be sharing with you a case study of a project called Year in Monzo. Hopefully a lot of you will already be familiar with it. And I worked on this project with the marketing team towards the end of last year, so in December. It went live to Monzo users in January as a fun, interactive way for Monzo users to see what their year 2018 looked like with Monzo. So I'll be sharing with you, I'll dig in a little bit as to how data helped power this feature that went live to over 800,000 users, and a bit about the process that we went through to reach the final version. Cool, so what was Year in Monzo? So this was a vision and idea that came from our content and community team. They wanted to create something that would engage existing Monzo users, help them love Monzo even more, and also something that was shareable on social channels, so that would increase brand awareness and hopefully drive signups as well. So what we built in the end was, or aimed to build, was an amazing way for users to amazing social experience using their own user data. In practice, what this looked like was a shareable card or widget which users could share on WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It showed a summary of what merchants you had visited the most in 2018 from your grocery category, shopping, entertainment, and eating out as well. If you traveled, where you traveled to, and generally what categories you spent your money on. Each user also got a mobile web view with more information, such as how many transactions they made in 2018, how many peer-to-peer payments they had made, and the top 5 merchants in each category that they'd purchased from. So behind the scenes, even more went into that final user experience. So we needed to generate a data set in production of data for over 800,000 users. From this, that then powered an individual image for each user, which they could then share online. We created this authenticated web view for them. Our marketing engineering team integrated all of the sharing features, which also had to have a website with the image behind it. And then we also built a Year in Monzo website so that people could find this. We sent feed messages out as well as emails. Our content team created a host of blog posts as well. There was so much that went into creating Year in Monzo, and it was really amazing to see in such a short time how all the different disciplines within marketing, from design, marketing, tech, and engineering, and our community and content teams really leading the vision, all came together to reach a shared goal. It's a little bit about how we went through the process of deciding what to show users. So this started with an initial brainstorm about what did we think would be interesting for people to see. So our criteria was that it should be data that's insightful and delightful in a way for our users. We then went through, I then created a prototype, again using Looker, our business intelligence tool. And this was an amazing way to get to from 0 to 1, to start to actually look at what that data might look like in reality. And were there any problems with the data quality, or was it just not an interesting thing to show users? This helped inform finalizing the fields that we were going to show to users. And yeah, also considering things like edge cases such as, well, not edge cases, but scenarios where if someone has a joint account, should we include them in Year in Monzo with the time frame that we have? How many transactions do you need to have made to have a good experience with Year in Monzo? So after that, involved working with our marketing engineering team to understand what format they needed that data in, so that they could power Year in Monzo. And I also worked closely with them to add tracking so that we knew if we were hitting our initial goals in terms of number of users interacting with Year in Monzo, and also number of shares and downloads of the widget. Then was the generation of the data set, so using our analytics database to create those fields for each user. And that involved a lot of standardizing the data that was available. So for example, making sure that each country code was standardized to a 3-letter code, and also making sure that the definitions that we were using were the same as what users would expect to see in the app. And finally, quality checking. So this was really important, making sure that once that data set was generated, it was true to users' data and what they would expect to see in the app as well. And one thing that we're really great at Monzo for testing features is sharing those features internally before they're shared live. So over a few iterations, we received over 100 comments of positive feedback, and also great recommendations for things we could improve as we were building Year in Monzo. So to show an example of what the prototype looked like, this is an example in Looker, again, which allows us to just really quickly represent what something might look like in terms of the data that we'd show in a final product feature. And yeah, having a look at this, seeing and getting some initial reactions internally that actually this was pretty fun data to look at, and people were really excited about this project. So as a reminder, as one of the key parts of the final output was this ability to, if you wanted, share your summary from your 2018 spending of Monzo on different platforms. So going from, with a lot of design input as to what that should look like to be a delightful experience for users. So as it went live, it was really exciting to track live how many people were engaging with Year in Monzo, how many people were sharing, how many hashtags we were getting on Twitter. So here are a couple of examples. Yeah, a lot of them really made us laugh, but for example, here, someone being a little bit shocked about how many times they actually went to McDonald's. Also giving a lot of love for Greg's. I think it was really nice to see everyone's shared love for places like Pret, Greg's, and realizing that we're all a lot more similar than we think we are sometimes. And then to the right, in our web view, we had called the shopping category Treat Yourself. So this person just having a bit of a laugh that they'd really treated themselves to a lot of purchases at the post office in 2018. Yeah, lots of fun stuff that users came out with. Not only actually using the shareable card, but here users had screenshotted sections from the web view and then uploaded that to platforms themselves. One of our key goals had been to raise awareness, get some press pieces from Year in Monzo as well, which we achieved. So yeah, people being quietly surprised about how fun it was to see a summary of what you were up to in 2018. And also something which we hadn't necessarily planned for, but seeing a couple of merchants actually really engage with this. So this is a coffee shop in Broccoli, and someone had sent into them saying, hey, I've bought 208 coffees in 2018. Has anyone beat me? And then they offered a £20 gift voucher for anyone who might have. So that's a lot of coffees. Yeah, a lot of money on coffee. Good to know. So we were trending, we were the top trending hashtag when Year in Monzo went live. And overall, we had 250,000 people viewing their Year in Monzo pages, over 22,000 shares and downloads of the actual widget, which is really positive and surpassed our initial goals for how many people we thought would interact and share Year in Monzo. WhatsApp was our favorite sharing platform, which is also really interesting. A lot of people wanting to share within smaller social groups, but doing that. And yeah, some nice kind of feedback from other people in the industry asking how we're so good that thousands of people are posting their spending reports as content. So this was an amazing project to work on, and we're really excited about what the future might hold for a Year in Monzo. Just a quick, another case study I'll squeeze in, but just to talk about some of the things we're doing within product marketing. So our product marketing team is growing, and across different platforms, we're really using data to power decisions, to run experiments, to improve the user journey. So examples are on the monzo.com website, running A/B tests to show different variations of the page and seeing which ones result in higher number of downloads. Within emails, really looking at what that user journey should look like. Again, what features we should introduce to people at what point, and where we should take them into the app. And then the carousel, which is a feature we launched a couple of months ago to create a placeholder for us to introduce new features and help people discover the best features for them in a slightly more prominent place. So there's lots of really exciting projects going on, ideas about how we can really optimize that user journey to introduce Monzo users to all of the amazing features of Monzo and the right products at the right time. Yeah, back to Neil.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to wrap up quickly with a few points. First of all, this is an incredibly thin slice of the work that we're doing in the data team at Monzo. And reflecting on these two presentations, we could probably have a full day of Monzo data in Investival if you really want it. But we have similar types of work being done across savings pots, golden tickets and referrals, overdrafts, and all the way to what are the most frequent things that people talk to us in chat, all of these sort of things. So clearly, in order to do that, there's a couple things that we need to keep on top of in order to fulfill our mission. And so one of them is we have to automate the really boring stuff. So just to give you an example, as you know, your Monzo account is protected by the FSCS, so that in the absolutely unlikely event that Monzo would go bust, you would get 85K covered by the government. And so one of the things that they can do is they can knock on our door at any time and say, give us the file of how much money we would have to give to customers if you went bust. And we have to be able to produce that in less than 24 hours. So I've been told that at other banks, when that knock comes on the door, they have to assemble teams of people to come and generate this file super quickly. And we had that experience once, where well, twice now, where they've knocked on our door and said, give us the file. And the first time, we did that. We assembled a team of people and created the file. And then we said, we should never have to do this again. Right? So we built a system that now makes that file for us every single week and checks that it's correct and checks that it has everything in it. And if anything is broken, it tells us, and we just have to fix it. So when the FSCS does come and knock on our door and say, give us the file, we say, here it is. It was made automatically by our system. And that opens up our time to work on these other kinds of projects. And secondly, we need to sort of keep abreast of all the future changes that are happening in Monzo. So when I joined Monzo, we didn't have savings pots, we didn't have joint accounts, we didn't have Monzo Plus, we didn't have any of these things. And so in our data, we had some assumptions, one of them being that one user ID equals one account. And then joint accounts appeared, and savings pots appeared. And it sort of fundamentally broke one of our assumptions in how we had set up our data. And some of these changes are coming again soon. So for example, all of our transactions are happening in pounds. And so all of the data that we log is for customers who are based in the UK, who are covered by the FSCS, who have an account in pounds. And now we're launching in the US, and that's going to break all of our assumptions. So we are already thinking about how to make sure that that doesn't slow us down, and that instead, we can set up our data to speed up the team that is launching everything in the US. And then the second point is what we've been talking about in the data team, and it's a little bit reflected in these two presentations that you saw today, is that really the power of the data that we have is not just to help Monzo to launch features and understand their customer growth and all of these things, but ultimately, the data that people create by transacting could be used for many purposes to help you. So very simple things like if we see that you are paying a direct debit that is 50% higher than what everyone else pays, or if you are maybe shortly due to remortgage and you've been paying a mortgage for 12 months and you tell us you're looking for something like that, right? All of these things could really help us to build products that can help you to make better decisions, whether it is to find a new energy provider, whether it is to see direct debits that you pay, but you never actually use those services. And so really, I think at the heart of the data that everyone creates by using Monzo is a lot of value that we can ultimately turn back around and give it back to you as customers. So with that, I'll close. Thank you very much to Annabel and Katie for all their hard work putting all this presentation together. And I'll be around. I think we'll be around a little bit if you have any questions later. Thank you very much.